Hello, welcome to Gabie's Knit Goodies. I am here waiting for my daughter. She's taking chorus and band, so she plays the flute, and so I am waiting for her to get out of her class. So I thought I'd talk to you guys about my knitting, which of course brought with me. But first I have an acquisition that I got, a gift that is knitting related that I thought I'd show you guys. And I have a new cast on for the GKG Favorite Things Cal. Yeah, so that's to show you guys. Like my little intro said, you can find me, Gabie's Knit Goodies, on Instagram, Yarn on Etsy, and GKG Yarn is now my yarns Instagram handle so that I can put all my hand-done yarn up there. Yeah, but something new that I got is this knitting backpack. It's super cool. Let's see, here's the brand. I know it was on Amazon, but it's got this nice, it has a handle like this, so you can tote it around kind of like a purse. This is not the best place in the car to show this, but so you can tote it around like a purse, but it's also a backpack. It has a pocket back here. I have a tablet back here, and it also, if you were going on an airplane, like this would go on your luggage handle. And then the way it opens, it is like this, so you can, it sits upright and it can like stay open and boxy like that, which is very cool. And on the inside it has pockets. I just threw everything in here before I left this morning, but it has big pockets. I was doing a project and I put the yarn in the pockets, and I was holding two together, and actually three together, and I had yarn in 3 different pockets in here, and it worked quite well. And it has some little pockets up here, so you could put stitch markers or whatever else. I have my headphones there. And another thing that's cool is it has like a little charging port out here that goes to a cord on the inside, and my husband bought me a battery. Yeah, it's battery. And so like you can charge the battery and then just leave it in here, and then if your phone goes dead or your tablet goes dead that you're using you know, for your pattern, you can just plug it in. And that's kind of cool. And then it has these holes I haven't used yet, but you could run your yarn through these holes so that yeah, so you could have it all closed up and knit on your project like that, which is kind of neat. Let's see. Oh, the outside. It has a thin pocket here, but it's pretty deep, and I have knitting patterns that I'm working on in there. And then the very front has a well, a little pocket here, just a little zipper pocket here, and then this has I haven't done this yet. Like I said, I just got this recently, but it has space for all your knitting supplies and needles. So little pockets for your cords or whatever else you need. I have my little row counter, or you could put pens or knitting needles there. And of course here's a bunch of places for knitting needles. It's super cool. So I have these in here, and I want to transfer them from these little plastic things that are breaking. These are like Knit Picks interchangeable sets, and I want to put them in here. So yeah, it's very fun. And it's kind of nice to know that you have all your needles that you need right here when you're out and about. Oh, and it has these little side pockets. I've been using one for my phone and the other for a water bottle. Yeah, I like it. So let's talk about the knitting that's in it. But first, I am wearing the Ondawa Sweater by I feel like it was a Brooklyn tweed pattern, but now I'm not 100% sure, so I will put the Ondawa Sweater pattern name in addition to the designer, or where you can get it, here on the screen and down below. It is like an all over cable, but fairly small cables. It has a very cool ribbing that has like this little upside down V thing in a couple of places that like leads into the cable, and I really like that. It is a very, I mean, it's all over cabled, so it's not that simple, but construction wise it's super simple. You just knit 2 rectangles and then seam those together in the shoulders and under the arms, like the side seam, and then you pick up stitches around the arm and knit the arms, which also has the cute little hem here. I knit mine out of upcycled yarn. I think I did a video on this a long time ago, but it's yarn that's been, I took a sweater from a thrift store and I took it apart. It's 50% wool, 50% cotton. I washed it and then I used it. It was a long process, but it was cool to do. So I recommend it. My kids are calling. I'll be right back. Okay. So the next thing to do is talk about all my knitting inside my bag. It's like a Mary Poppins bag. Let's start with a new cast on, because that's fun. Actually, both of these will look like new cast ons, I think, to you guys. This is, oh, I didn't talk about the cow. Knit along update. I'm doing, in case you didn't see earlier, the Gabie's Knit Goodies Favorite Things cow. Running it primarily on Instagram, but I do have a feed or a thread in my Ravelry group. Gabie's Knit Goodies has a Ravelry group, I can't say it. And I will try to post the link to the giveaway and cow video. The original one that talks all the details about what patterns are in it. Yeah, and you primarily run on Instagram using the hashtag GKG Favorite Things Cow. So there's lots of patterns on there that I'm going to be knitting, and I want you guys to knit with me. So this is one of them. I cast on, it doesn't look like much right now, but I cast on the My Favorite Things. It looks so tiny. My Favorite Things is the designer. It's the Camisole No. 5. So it looks kind of pitiful right now. It's a high neck camisole that like comes in here at the shoulders. And I know it's a weird time to be casting on a summery looking tank top, but I thought it would make really good like a layering piece. And going into springtime, I mean, by the time I actually finish it, it's probably not going to be that cold anymore. I know we're just entering like our coldest months right now, but that doesn't last but for like 2 months here. So maybe 3 at most. So I kind of figure I could wear this, layer this under things now to add an extra layer of warmth. And then as spring comes, I could layer it with like a jeans jacket or a cardigan or something. And then when it gets warmer in the middle of the day, I take off and put on things. So anyways, I don't know why I really got it in my head I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to have this camisole. Not necessarily desiring to knit it. The process of knitting a ribbed camisole on small needles wasn't that appealing to me, but I wanted to have it. So I decided to cast it on. So, Camisole No. 5, here we go. It is knit out of a light fingering weight yarn. I'm using my yarn in a new colorway called Buttercream. It is just, a creamy off-white color. I should put it up to something white. You can see it's kind of a yellowier than just a white. Anyways, I didn't want it stark white. I wanted it like a cream. So, Buttercream. fingering weight merino nylon 75/25, and it is 463 yards per 100 grams. And it is knit as recommended by the pattern on size 3, US 3 needles, which is 3.25 millimeters. And I'm using my Haya Sharps, which I really like my Haya Sharps. I think these are the shorty ends. I got a set that has interchangeable set, and the ends are, they're not super tiny, but they're shorter than normal, but that doesn't bother me at all. So it's an interesting construction. I apologize for the noise in this parking lot. You have a provisional cast on for just a few stitches, and you knit a little ribbing, and then you put that on hold. And then you do the same thing on the other side and put it on hold. But right before you put it on hold, do you see this little section here, little triangle section here? You do these little increases, and it's all worked in like a 2x2 rib. And I don't know why, but I had the hardest time with this tiny little section of increases, because this is in the front. So I wanted it to look right. And you know, it's supposed to end up, you increase along here, along this edge, and you want it to be this nice increases where you continue with that 2x2 rib. But I don't know, I kept messing it up. I had to rip out this section literally 3 times before I got it right. Now it totally makes sense, not a problem at all. But for some reason, like, I don't know, I kept messing it up, and I would have these, it didn't look right. It looked all messy in that corner. And usually I'm not one to rip things out, but when it's right here, very visible at all times, I thought it needed to be right. And then if the other side was right and this side was wrong and all messy, it just, yeah. I figured with this yarn and the type of top it is, there's just nowhere to hide the messiness. So I had to do it 3 times. Now it looks really skinny now, but for one, it stretches out. I'm still doing increases, and then there's this like double knitting band, which is a sort of, I mean, I've done double knitting before, but I don't think I've ever done one as like a edging like this, because I think you knit the double knitting edging straight onto it. I haven't read through the pattern, but I believe that's right. So it's not like something you knit and then add on later. I don't think. I hope not. I don't really want to seam something on like that. But anyways, yeah. And I hope I did my provisional cast on right. I think it'll work. So I like it so far. I finally figured out my little increases, which is good because you keep doing that same increases all the way down until it's wide enough. And it'll look thicker once you get a neckband and this edge band, so it won't look quite so itty bitty. It looks like it's for a doll. It's for me. I have a little teacup just indicating that this is the right side, because there's different things you do on the right side versus the wrong side. So far it's actually pretty easy after you get through this little section and start understanding it. But it's knits and purls on a small needle, so that's not for everyone. Next project. This is also on the GKG Favorite Things Knit Along. But it won't be available until I write the pattern. Or finish writing the pattern, let me put it that way. Finish writing the pattern. Eventually it'll be ready. This is the this is the Dream Cardigan by me, and it is a cardigan pattern in progress. I did knit my daughter one of these, but then I wanted to change things before finalizing the pattern, and I wanted to knit one for myself to make sure the pattern is what I want it to be before putting it out there for you guys. I am an extremely slow pattern writer and finalizer. It's the finalizing that I have trouble with. I like developing it, but putting those final touches and making sure everything's just right, I'm very slow with it. It takes it's like sitting in front of the computer, and number one, I don't like to sit in front of my computer very much, and number two, I don't have a lot of time that's uninterrupted, because if you haven't watched me before, I have 3 children that I homeschool in addition to all of my knitting stuff. So my time is somewhat limited, especially the, like I said, uninterrupted time. All right, here it is. Currently, it's fairly basic cardigan, but the glory of this cardigan is that it's fingering weight yarn held with a mohair. So I have my Maleficent yarn, which is the fingering weight yarn, just like the buttercream one, of merino and a little bit of nylon. And then I have this Silver Mist, which is like 72% kid mohair and 28% silk, and it's super fuzzy and soft. And I'm holding these two together, which makes it so I can use a US 7 needle size. So it goes by really fast, and I wanted a cardigan that was squishy and cozy, but at the same time really lightweight. And using a mohair, you can really get things quite lightweight. So I really love how this was working up. I wanted a very easy to wear neutral, but I find it interesting to knit with yarns that change color and have variation in them. And so you can't see it all that well, I don't think. You might be able to see it some, but it's gray and plum and green, like a deep foresty green, emeraldy green in here. And that's that Maleficent yarn. You can kind of see some of the colors in there. And so it just makes it more fun when I'm knitting it. And then it gives more interest, at least when you're close up. But from far away, it just looks gray, which is great. I like gray, as you can see I'm wearing gray. Okay, so it's a top-down seamless raglan, and then I will pick up for a very cozy shawl collar. And the sleeves will be kind of balloon sleeves. I guess that's what you call them. I'm going to knit them straight and then cinch the wrists so that it comes in. At least, yeah, I'm almost positive that's what I'm going to do. That's what I did before, and I liked it for my daughters. Yeah, I like how it's coming along. If you're noticing this is a little trick that I learned from Wool Needle's Hands podcast. I forget her name. She's a very avid podcaster, but a long time ago she was giving like tips and tricks, and one of them was to use the little thing that goes on like bags that you get at the grocery store, like bread bags, and wrap your end in there so it's not hanging off and getting in the way. It actually did work. So I'm enjoying this. It's super squishy and nice, and I'm almost done with the body, which is exciting. And right now it's totally mindless, which is mostly what I need right now, most of the time. I always like to have a mindless project. Speaking of mindless projects, if you saw my stories the other day, I had to go to actually, it's a dentist office, so I had to wait in a waiting room, and I had to wait for my kids and stuff. And so I was there for probably a total of like 45 minutes or an hour in the waiting room. And as we were leaving the house, I did not have a project. Like my cardigan, that's what I had been knitting on, and I just recently finished the like camel colored sweater number 21. But this cardigan, I needed to wind up more yarn, and I didn't have time to wind up the yarn for it. So I was like, oh no, what am I gonna bring? I can't wait in the waiting room and not have knitting. And then I remembered I had this lovely project, the Habitation Throw by Curious Handmade Helen Stewart. It is a like scrappy, mini skeiny, mindless knit. And it is knit from like on the diagonal from corner to corner. So you start with a little bit, so your mini skein goes a long way, and then it gets wider and wider till it's at its widest point, and then you start going down. So this half I was very like color coordinated. I used one of my mini skein sets and I loved it. And then I was like, what do I do next? And I kind of got, I don't know, bored I guess with it. And I picked up some mohair right here and that I had left over. And that like reinvigorated it. And then I just went like crazy with the colors. And it just made me so happy to pick it up and knit it after that. So I just kept with the crazy colors. So now I'm doing some moss colored mohair on it. And it's mindless and beautiful. And I'm excited to have it done. I think it will be super fun. But it's really nice to have a mindless knit you can just pick up and do wherever too. And it's not that bulky, it's fingering weight. So it's not that bulky that I have to like, you know, it's a blanket, but I can totally carry that with me in one of my big bags on my knitting backpack. So yeah, I like it. I have a fun progress keeper on it that's from like Planet, this is Planet something. I don't know if it's zooming in on it, but it's a little globe filled with stars. It's very cool. And I have that marking the front of my work because the front is where you do like your increases or your decreases on the edges, and it has a little I-cord edging, which makes it a little bit tight on the edging. Like the project itself could stretch a lot more than the edging. So I have mixed feelings about I-cord edgings because it does tighten the edge, which in some ways that might be a good thing. But it also, you know, may change the blocking of it a bit. I don't know. It has little eyelets in it that you do every now and again, and I totally have miscounted, and some of my eyelet rows are closer than others. But it doesn't matter in this, which is part of the beauty of it. All these are my yarns that I have dyed, which is also very exciting. So, now here's my mohair. I need to add more of this in my shop. It's moss colored mohair. I don't know how my lighting's like coming in primarily from the left over here, so hopefully things will show up all right. Anyways, I think that is all I have to share with you today. I am going to sit here, and I actually have some tea that I made before I left and put it in like a insulated mug. And it's some nice chai tea. So I am going to drink my chai tea and probably listen to an audiobook and knit until I pick up my little girl. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and that you get to sit and knit and relax for at least a few minutes today. And if you join in my CAL, I would be super excited to see what you make. And you'll be entered to win the prizes too. So I forgot to mention that earlier. There are prizes for the CAL throughout the year that will be picked to include yarn and patterns. And I think I might give away a pattern of my own, but I don't have a huge amount. So I might also have a different giveaway where it's a pattern of the winner's choice too. So anyways, have a wonderful day. Bye. So this is the Rosé sock set. It comes with the 100 gram of this dusty pink. That's pink with little undertones of purple. It's a tonal. And then the tonal 20 gram mini. So it's 120 total in the set. This is the sparkling rosé. It has silver stellina throughout, so it has nice rosé color with all that lovely glitter and sparkle in there. I've created some 80-gram sock sets that have 50 gram of the Monet water lilies, as well as a 10 gram of the like little green color here, that there's green in the Monet water lilies, and a 20 gram of the boysenberry. So you could do, you know, the body of the sock and the Monet water lilies. You could do cuff and toe in boysenberry, and then do the heel in the green, or, you know, whatever else you want. The green will match and pick up the little bits of green, and the boysenberry picks up the purple that's in here. Yeah, it'd be really cute. Dyeing yarn is so much fun. It was white and now it's this gorgeous pink cotton candy color. It's always a little bit like magic, even though it's truly more like chemistry. It still feels like magic when the yarn changes color.